Every 90s kid remembers Discovery Zone. The roller slides that rattled your bones. The ball pits that probably contained half the germs in America. The giant climbing maze that felt like an entire world built just for kids. Discovery Zone was everywhere. Birthday parties, school celebrations, weekend trips with mom and dad. And then, almost overnight, it was gone. What happened to the biggest indoor playground of the 1990s? To understand how Discovery Zone disappeared, we first have to understand just how huge it became. Discovery Zone opened in 1989 with a simple idea: create a massive indoor playground where kids could run, climb, crawl, slide, and burn off enough energy to sleep for the next 3 days. And kids absolutely loved it. These weren't ordinary playgrounds. Discovery Zone locations were giant indoor adventure worlds filled with towering climbing structures, obstacle courses, ball pits, tunnels, rope bridges, and those unforgettable roller slides. For many kids, walking into Discovery Zone felt like entering a secret city built entirely for children. Parents loved it too. It became one of the hottest birthday party destinations in America. The company grew at an incredible pace. New locations seemed to pop up everywhere. Investors poured money into the concept, convinced they had found the future of family entertainment. Even tennis legend Billie Jean King became an early supporter of the company because she believed active play was important for kids. But while Discovery Zone was growing, competitors were paying attention. One of the biggest was McDonald's. The fast food giant launched its own indoor playground chain called Leaps and Bounds. The two companies battled for families throughout the early 1990s. Eventually, many Leaps and Bounds locations became part of Discovery Zone, making the company even larger. And that was part of the problem. Discovery Zone wasn't just expanding, it was expanding too fast. Opening giant indoor playgrounds wasn't cheap. Every location required enormous buildings, expensive equipment, constant maintenance, and large staffs. The company kept borrowing money to fuel growth, betting that future profits would cover the costs. Instead, the debt kept piling up. By the mid-1990s, Discovery Zone was struggling financially despite being incredibly popular. Blockbuster Video eventually stepped in and took management control, hoping to turn things around. But the problems were already becoming too big. Meanwhile, competitors like Chuck E. Cheese continued attracting birthday parties and family events. Discovery Zone tried to reinvent itself. Executives explored bigger entertainment concepts and looked for new ways to attract customers. But nothing could solve the company's growing financial troubles. By the late 1990s, Discovery Zone was carrying nearly $367 million in debt. Then came the moment that shocked families across America. On June 30th, 1999, Discovery Zone abruptly closed roughly half of its locations after filing for bankruptcy protection. For many communities, there was no warning. One day, Discovery Zone was open. The next day, the doors were locked. Families who had grown up visiting the giant playground suddenly found them gone. The remaining locations continued to struggle, and over the next few years, the company completely disappeared. Many former Discovery Zone buildings were sold, converted into other businesses, or taken over by competitors. Today, Discovery Zone survives mostly through memories. Ask anyone who grew up in the 1990s, and they'll probably remember racing through the tunnels, diving into the ball pits, or bouncing down those famous roller slides. And maybe that's why people still talk about it. Discovery Zone wasn't just a business. It was one of those rare places that felt magical when you were a kid. For a brief moment in the 1990s, it seemed like Discovery Zone was everywhere. Then it vanished. But for the kids who grew up climbing through those neon-colored mazes, a small part of Discovery Zone never really disappeared at all.